Second video topic we're going to talk about, rotator cuff co-contraction. So basically, rotator cuff functions to stabilize the humerus into the socket, protect it, and what I've learned through the years, even protecting a shoulder injury I have on my right shoulder from playing softball, is you have to really maintain a rotator cuff co-contraction throughout the day when you're using your arms. And that's really the most effective way to me to train the rotator cuff without really causing any inflammation patterns that can be experienced with TheraBands and dumbbells and things like that, you know, by poor mechanics of performing the exercise, or just, you know, doing too much, or just the way the body reacts sometimes to exercise is an inflammatory pattern. And so basically all we're going to do is we're going to tell the rotator cuff to contract by pulling the humerus down into the socket. So basically, you know, the arm's just kind of hanging there, and our rotator cuff, among other structures, is holding it in place. So the more we think about how do we contract that rotator cuff and, you know, do the things we do throughout the day, the better off we're going to be. So we think like we're actually trying to pull the humerus into the socket, right? So you just tighten the shoulder and pull the arm bone, the humerus bone, into the socket, and then do your things like, you know, typing on the computer, on your cell phone, washing dishes, you know, anything from the ground up to maybe shoulder level. It's going to be easier to hold the humerus in place by contracting your muscles on your own than it is by raising your arms up overhead. So, you know, we think every time we contract it, it's just going to make that thing safer and more stable and less likely to strain. And that's basically what I've been doing for years, is just pulling the humerus into the socket, working on my clients, and just make it be like almost like a subconscious thing where I'm always in alignment and contracting that rotator cuff into the socket. So hopefully that makes sense, and I'll have plenty of my clients working on this one. So from a side view, we're basically just going to have, you know, gravity is doing its normal thing, these muscles may be tight, and we're just pulling the humerus down to the socket. And you're actually going to get like a nice shoulder blade contraction too. But we're thinking about, you know, the humerus pulling down that socket and just kind of contracting that cuff and protecting it, and then doing whatever we need to do, and just kind of practicing that throughout the day. When you're driving, it's another good time to think about that. Just nice and gently pull the humerus into the socket. Squeeze those muscles like you're pulling the humerus and the ball into the socket. Just practice that a lot. And you can always use your hand to give you a little bit more of a cue, you know, to feel, is it pulling into the socket? Do I feel it's pulling into the socket? And then the hand, the opposite hand, you know, your opposite arm's hand can move over and just give it a little bit of protection or a little bit of a cue to pull it into the socket. You know, and that's fine too. Plus you'll be stretching it kind of the way that, you know, I like to mobilize the humerus and stretch the pec minor and things like that. So it's like a self version of that. Thank you.